So what we are touching base on is measurable and realistic indicators of progress. So have you ever kind of been unmotivated or disappointed with how things are going, not really feeling like you're getting anywhere, and just a little bit of in a rut and not really reaching any goals? Or you think you're not necessarily reaching goals when you definitely probably are. So don't worry, we have definitely all been there, but I just want to touch base to help you guys understand that goals aren't always the type of goals that you think they might be. So we're going to change the mindset a little bit and have a little bit of a chat about how we can actually adjust those goals and make it work for us, and to live a lifestyle where we are actually living and not just constantly trying to get that next best thing without realizing that you're already conquering them every single time. So first of all, we need to determine what kind of phase we are in. So that could be depending on, in a build phase, that takes months, sometimes years for people to get to that stage. So they're all completely different as well. Then there can be the fat loss and body composition goals that people have. Now this is where you want to be spending a bit more at a shorter period of time, not a long lengthy time where you would just drag it out in a deficit. It's not ideal. The other one, and the third one, which is the one we want to be in most of the time, is in our maintenance phase. So you really want to live in this phase pretty much majority of the time, unless you have those certain goals either side that you're aiming for. So this is like where you aren't in a deficit, you aren't in a build, but you are coasting through life, which is how you really want to be, and you're actually living, like enjoying the moment, living healthily, conquering out all the things that you wanted to by implementing those good habits as well. So this is where people generally find the hardest, because if you're in a deficit, it's quite easy to just go, okay, I've got to get to this goal and I've got to reach it and I've got to hit it. Or if you're in a build, you're like, all right, I've got to eat this much food and I've got to get this much weights and cool, we're good to go. But maintenance can be a little bit trickier for the reason that we quite often think that it just means plateauing, when it 100% doesn't. Maintenance is where you live and you achieve that balanced lifestyle that you are going to flourish and love. So let's talk about it. We get self-love in this phase, alrighty. We have mental resilience, habits are created, and pure enjoyment of just life in general. So let's get started on how we can measure some goals in this phase and what they might be. So for instance, some key indicators and topics that we're going to discuss are goals during your sessions and your training, nutrition, body composition and physique appearance, look goals as well, and then just your general well-being and life. Okay, so they're the 4 little topics we're going to discuss, and the goals that I want you to think and consider when you do go through this part. So let's start with sessions, and I just want to get out of the way first a few misconceptions about, training and everything else that can come with. So the first one is that quite often sometimes can be people's goals is to feel sore during or after a session, and that is a good indicator. Definitely not correct. And if you really do want to know if your body's actually recovering, after you've done your first new phase of your workout, if your body is recovering, it shouldn't be to the point where you're crawling out of bed each morning sore. So it's not a good indicator of progress to be like, oh, I'm sore. Yes, I must have done a really good workout. Not always, okay, but within reason. The other one is during your workouts, you won't actually, especially strength training, some of the exercises you won't feel that burning sensation of the muscle or I can feel that happening, or the contraction, because not all of our muscle movements actually happen like that. And so a lot of the time, don't put it down to the fact that, I really felt my glute squeeze then, so it must be a really a good workout compared to doing an RDL. Not necessarily true either, because here's a little fun fact. You could sit and do a wall squat hold with no weight, no hypertrophy training at all, and just do an isometric hold, and it's gonna burn probably sometimes just as much as it was to go and do 20 squats, all right? But we know which one's building the muscles better. Definitely the squats. All right, so here are some key goals that if you are ticking at least one of these off, then my friend, you are making progress. First one's first. did you do more reps with the same amount of weight than last time or than you could before? Cool, tick, one goal accomplished. This is during your sessions or after your sessions. The other one is did you do more weight for the same amount of reps than you previously had before? Cool, give that one a tick if you have. The really important one, now they're the materialistic, like obviously measurable weight loaded goals. And we spoke the other day when we spoke about progressive overload, how all the goals that can be included in there, there's lists of tenfold for progressive overload. But the other one is, did your technique improve? So quite often you can walk away from a session not having changed anything on the bar, not even having changed the tempo, and you could have had a much, much better session. It would have been more superior for your muscles because you were doing the technique correctly, so better for muscle growth. Did you train, this is number 4, did you train pain-free? And by that I mean, like, obviously I don't want anyone to be training in pain, in agony, as in muscle joints and pain, but did you train to the point where you're starting to feel your body, for instance, your quads are starting to really take the load rather than the pain on your joints in your knees? So perfect example, I've got a client who's been training PT this year, and she used to have a lot of issues with her knees and while she was doing squats, lunges and things like that. But her issue there was that her quads and her glutes and her hammies weren't quite strong enough or pulling their weight evenly to really help her pain in her knees. And now she has built up that strength, so she is training pain-free with no issues on the knee joints, which is obviously a huge long-term win, but in general, things like that are always gonna come up. And the 5th one, and the lucky last one for training is, did you feel absolutely kick-ass after that session? Like, did you feel like, oh my God, I have just killed that session, go me, I've got my movement in for the day, hell yeah. If you did, what an awesome goal to have, and tick that off as an absolute win, because we often just think about the materialistic things or the measurable things rather than like, damn, yeah, I did that. Because I am all for rewarding, yourself with positive affirmations to yourself. And if you did a workout today or movement or a walk or something like that, you moved your body, then you have accomplished something, and that is that 1% that you can then take away and tick off as a goal. So, but in saying that, there also is really important to know when you need to rest, and knowing and being able to distinguish with a bit of discipline the difference between I need to rest and I want to rest. Because you can quite easily become into that phase of, okay, I just can't be bothered, it's a rest day, my body must rest. Or if your body is physically really tired, or you're mentally and emotionally drained and to the effort where you're not gonna be able to give a good session, then yes, that's a perfect example for rest day. But not just if we're, it's really hard to distinguish, but once you get good at it with a little bit of discipline, you can determine the difference between I need to and I want to. Alrighty. My other big tip retraining would definitely be to stop counting your calories on your watch during or after a workout. Don't get me wrong, I am an Apple Watch user, have been for years, and I love them for accountability for my movement. But I will never ever check the calories on the watch because they are so inaccurate, and the studies have shown that they can be up to like 40% inaccurate. So it honestly is just like really more for you, for your accountability. So I'm one that I love to be able to close all 3 rings by the end of the day, if I can. If I haven't, I'm also not going to get too down on it. But using it as accountability is good, but not using it as how many calories you've burnt that day. And especially my biggest personal no, don't do, is checking the calories that you've burned that day and then interpreting that to your calorie intake that you can eat for that day as well. So that could be a whole nother topic, but please be mindful that your watches and things like that we can just use as a tool and not to kind of measure the calorie expenditure on there. Okay, so next topic, nutrition. Now, nutrition can be tricky and hard to kind of come up with goals, but I like to keep it simple. So if you've ticked off any of these in here, then you have definitely made progress. So number one, did I keep to a minimum of your water intake for the day? Now, a lot of my girls, that is 2 liters is their minimum. So I like to keep them, must try and get to that 2 liters. Number 2, did I have adequate protein per meal? And you guys know the good old rough saying we've been saying a lot is 1 palm size minimum per 3 times a day. So it doesn't matter where you get it in, but if you can kind of stick to that is a good goal. And if you've got that, that's another tick off on your goal. Another really big goal or progress that I like to measure is, did I choose a better option whilst I was out for brekkie with the girls or at lunch? Did I make a better conscious decision without even really having to think about it? So it could have just literally been that you had the grilled chicken in the burger instead of the fried chicken. Like, it's little simple things like that are creating habits that are actually goals that you've achieved without even knowing. So you need to celebrate that to yourself. You need to make yourself aware that, yes, I am doing this. I am making changes. And really just be like, good job, good on me, all right? So acknowledging that you're making those changes, you're adapting those habits is so, so important. All right. And the lucky last one with that is also, did you get a good source of your carbs and fats? So did you get your veggies in there? Did you get your fruits in there? That's going to really optimally help your body fuel itself and get to that point. The other little one I will add, which can go hand in hand with the brekkie lunch takeaway options, is with your snacks. If you're really someone that I love chocolate and I really want chocolate, or I love chips and I want to eat some chips, did you make some decisions about changing them to better alternatives? So that could literally be changing it to popcorn, the popcorn from the popcorn aisle, and it is slightly better. Or it could be that you, instead of having a full block of chocolate, you had 4 squares and that was it for the day. Making those little changes are goals as well that you've ticked off. Make sure you're aware of these things that you are doing. They're the 1%ers that are really helping you to achieve your goals in the long run. So the last one we want to talk about, the second last one we're going to talk about is body composition and physique goals. So once again, if you're ticking off any of these, then you are making progress. Let's get that clear. Even one of these is progress. So the first one I'm going to talk about, because it's something it's a little bit of a touchy subject and I'm not 100% in love with, is scales. So when we come to our body composition and our physique but if they are a triggering aspect or may bring up negative emotions, remove them from the issue completely. But if they're not, use them as a great tool to monitor, throughout and see how you're going. It can be a great tool to monitor that maintenance and just see how your weight fluctuates up and down and keeping it at a consistent level as well. The other one is going to be your photos and your measurements. Once again, if it's triggering or if it's something that brings up negative issues, think of why that is or just remove it completely. But they are also a really, really good way to track your goals and progress, because you can see the difference rather than having to look at a number scale and have that as well. The other one we're going to talk about is obviously the biggest goal here, is how do your clothes fit and how do you feel within your clothes? Have you had a change in that? Then that is a huge goal. That is a tick, win-win. Don't just belittle that and say, oh, my jeans fit better. Cool, good job, move on. Be proud of that. That's a goal that you've accomplished. It's something that you can be proud of, and it's something that's quite often not looked at because we just want to look at the photos or the scales. So the other one we want to talk about is, how do you feel in yourself? How are you feeling mentally, emotionally, and everything like that? And then the last one for body and physique is, think of everything that your body is capable of. So can you now walk for longer? Can you lift heavier? Can you work out for longer without getting out of breath? That is physical, and it is a part of your physique as well. So rather than just looking at your body as a whole back in the mirror, think of what it is doing physically for you. All right, lucky last topic is general lifestyle and well-being goals. So once again, if you've hit any of these, then you have made progress. So first one's first, is your sleep better? Have you fixed your sleep? Have you increased your sleep? Are you getting a better rhythm through your sleep? Then if so, tick, that's a goal. Have you created and implemented new habits, whether that be literally just the fact that you've increased your water for that week, or is it that you've, meal planned or prepped that week? So that's a goal as well. Are you able to make decisions based on health and well-being rather than thinking of fat loss or scales or food choices, and thinking for your general well-being and your health and how you actually feel? That means a huge win, not only just for you in terms of goals, but in terms for your lifestyle as well. And number 4, is your mood better? Has it changed? Are you less stressed? And how are you feeling? If you are feeling and noticing a shift in your mood, you have ticked off another goal and you have made progress. And then the last one is we're going to talk about is, have your energy levels risen? Have you found an increase in energy? Have you really stepped up, your motivation? The days where you don't feel motivated, as we mentioned before, picking between I don't want to and I can't, or my body can't do it and I just want to rest. Up to you, and finding those little differences really will make the difference as well. So pretty much, if you have made any of them, you guys have made progress. So by just even ticking one thing from the whole list, which pretty much every one of them had 5, so like 20 things I just listed. If you have ticked off one of them today, this week, you, my friend, you are making progress without even realizing it. You are making those 1% changes that are going to accumulate into huge lifestyle changes for you to maintain for the whole time. So it's all about being realistic, getting to be able to enjoy life without having to have these huge, big goals all the time, and also realizing that you can just live at a maintenance phase and enjoy life whilst making progress through that whole time. So sometimes just taking away the just a number, or I've got to get to this, or I've got to be able to do this, and rather just think about what you're accomplishing every single day is going to help you so much, because you are making so much progress. So if you guys do need some help with this and would like some coaching on sort of how you can maintain this and how you can keep going with, really getting positive progress and stuff like that, let us know. And the other thing is, PT girls, you guys do get the option to have your fortnightly biofeedbacks done. So use your biofeedbacks really as a really good point to put in these progress like indicators and goals into your feedback, or list these as your progress indicators and goals that you want to reach within each fortnight, and then we can help you stay accountable and track them for you to help you guys get the most out of not only your training, but your nutrition, your general well-being, and your lifestyle, so you can be happy to really live in that phase. But anyway, that's all from me. If you have any questions, girls, let me know. But just remember, you guys are always making progress, whether you see it or not. So time to celebrate and give yourself a little pat on the back for those, and appreciate where you are.